How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running a bunch of sales right now. They just kicked off a sci-fi discount sale as well, and I want to do another video under $10, games under $10, just because a lot of you guys had mentioned that you wanted me to continue mentioning games that were in the PlayStation Plus Extra category, so we're gonna do that. And I imagine those of you that are watching these videos anyway, you're probably the kind of person that wants to own your games. You don't want to go for the subscription service, and it is a little bit, I guess I find it a little bit surprising how many people still want to, you know, buy their games to own. But honestly, I'm kind of like that too. Like, I'm buying all these games still. I'm just, you know, observing Plus Extra from the lens of what I think would be value-oriented for a lot of people, but a lot of people also want to buy their games, and hey, more power to you, so I got you guys covered on that end as well. Again, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with XCOM 2 The Collection, 90% off for $9.99. Now, the Collection is the best route to go with XCOM 2. It includes War of the Chosen, the expansion, which extends the game quite a bit. You know, this is obviously a game that's more catered towards playing on a PC, and definitely with the PlayStation 4 versions, it does have some technical shortcomings, which is unfortunate, but overall, it's still a very enjoyable tactical game that can also have a good bit of challenge attached to it as well. A lot of content, a lot of replayability, works well enough with the DualShock controls, or the PlayStation controller. Obviously, I think it's better with a keyboard and mouse, but fine with a controller as well, and $9.99 for the Collection I think is a great pickup. Next up, we have Darksiders Furies Collection, War and Death. This includes Darksiders Warmastered Wars Redemption, Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, Death's Revenge. Darksiders 1 and 2 Remastered, essentially. What's interesting is this Furies Collection, War and Death, also pictures Darksiders 3, but I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm pretty sure you just get Darksiders 1 and 2 with this collection. But nonetheless, Darksiders is a pretty solid action-adventure game. I remember when it came out, it got a lot of comparisons to like God of War and The Legend of Zelda, and there are definitely some similarities there. I just don't want people to go into playing Darksiders with that expectation level in their mind, just because it's more so in the 7.5 out of 10 range, rather than, you know, Zelda and God of War are elite tier in their respective genres. But quality games, some decent puzzles, quality gameplay, story's pretty interesting as well. Bear in mind that the games were PlayStation 3 titles, so keep your expectations in line from a technical standpoint, but you'll have a good time with those, especially at that price point. Next up, Ratchet Clank 2016 is 50% off for $9.99. I actually recently finally went back and got the Platinum Trophy in this game. It took me way longer than it should have, given that this game came out back in 2016. Nonetheless, very enjoyable game here. Obviously a ground-up remake, I guess you could call it, of the very first Ratchet & Clank game, with some new elements in there as well. A lot of new elements in there as well. The game runs fantastically on the PlayStation 5 as well. You know, still has that humor and that charm that Ratchet & Clank is known and loved for. Crazy weapons as well, off-the-wall weapons. Obviously not at the level of a Rift Apart, but still a pretty solid experience all around. And at $9.99, it's not the lengthiest game in the world, but you can jump into it, have fun for a little bit, and then move on to the next game. And with some of your guys' backlogs, sometimes that's exactly what you want. Alright, next up, we got Shadow of the Colossus, 50% off for $9.99. This was one of Bluepoint Games' early remakes that they've done. Obviously, now they're really well known for their work on Demon's Souls, but Shadow of the Colossus, this remake was really, really well done. Bear in mind, when SOTC came out on the PlayStation 2, yes, it was revered as a phenomenal game, and it was a tremendous game. However, it was also very, very ahead of its time, to say the least, and there were some technical issues with the PlayStation 2 version of the game. A lot of those issues have been completely remedied with Bluepoint's remake of Shadow of the Colossus, and it's still a very, very good game. Obviously, you have very interesting boss fights, you have great scenery in the game, the soundtrack is excellent, the narrative is incredibly interesting as well, and how it presents itself. I just think at $9.99, it's a very good pickup, and Shadow of the Colossus, to a lot of people, is considered one of the best games of all time, and, you know, when you talk about the PS2 version, a lot of people rank it among, like, the top 3 PS2 games ever, and when you're talking PS2 games, think about the library the PS2 had. Saying it's a top 3 PS2 game of all time, that says a lot, and this PS4 version is only better than that. $9.99 I think is a fairly good pickup on that. Next up, we have South Park: The Stick of Truth, 67% off for $9.89. I constantly rave about this game just because it's a game that completely caught me off guard. As someone that wasn't a South Park fan, you know, I watched the Pandemic special more so recently, but when I played Stick of Truth, it was back in 2013, and, you know, going into it, maybe I should have known it was Obsidian working on a South Park RPG. Obsidian working on any RPG, probably gonna be fairly decent, but man, South Park: The Stick of Truth really got me. The humor I thought was fantastic. The art style is a love letter to South Park. Like, I think the game looks great, but if you're a South Park fan, you're gonna feel right at home with that, and the humor, again, is really, really solid. And I should also say, mechanically, just a well-made game as an RPG. Like, if you fundamentally assess it, it's a well-made RPG. $9.99 for the Stick of Truth is good, and as far as RPGs go, not super, super lengthy here as well, but a good time for sure. Next up, we have The Order 1886, 50% off for $9.99. Now, I know this isn't everyone's favorite game. A lot of people hate this game. A lot of people were very much disappointed by this game back in February of 2015. However, back in February of 2015, suckers like me paid $60 for the game. You don't have to do that anymore. You can pay $9.99 for it. That was really the main issue with the game. It was a $60 game, and it was 5 to 7 hours in length, and obviously it captured a lot of people's interest based on the technical prowess of the game. The game still to this day looks very, very good. You know, gameplay-wise, it's a pretty standard cover-based third-person shooter with some interesting mechanics there as well. Visually, it's great. The setting is awesome. Like, the narrative and what the Order could have become if this game was successful, if it was received well, and if there were sequels made, I just think it could have developed into something really high quality from a narrative and lore standpoint, and unfortunately, doubt that's ever going to come to fruition. But The Order 1886 is still a solid time, and at $9.99, I think if you have a free weekend and you just want a game to play, Order 1886 is a pretty good one. Again, 5 to 7 hours long, not a super lengthy game. You can jump in and be done with it fairly quickly, and a super easy platinum trophy if you're into that as well. Next up, we have Detroit Become Human, 50% off for $9.99. Of course, this is a Quantic Dream title. You gotta know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to Quantic Dream games. Very much narrative-driven, light on the gameplay. It's not like it's a super action-oriented game or anything like that. You're getting into this game for the narrative, for the decision-making, and everything like that. With these games, I often mention it, but let me reiterate, my opinion is when you play one of these decision-based games, I wouldn't go online and look for how to get the best ending, how to do XYZ. I would do one playthrough that's completely blind and you just play through it yourself, and I think you'll have a fairly good time with doing that. Detroit Become Human's got an awesome setting, a futuristic sci-fi setting, and it's a really, really well-done story that tackles a lot of interesting themes as well. And with these games, I always say that, yes, it's a single-player game, but this is the type of game where you can invite a lot of friends over. Maybe they don't play video games at all, but they can all gather around and just watch you play through, or, you know, kind of, it's like an interactive movie kind of experience where everybody can jump in. The Quarry kind of did a good job of that, of trying to bring that style of play into a multiplayer aspect as well. But Detroit Become Human, you can just invite friends over, have a good time with it. And then again, if you do want to replay it, that option is available to you. But $9.99 for Detroit, I think, is a fairly good deal. Definitely would give that a shout. Next up, want to give a shout to a couple Mega Man titles. Mega Man X Legacy Collection and Legacy Collection 2. And then Mega Man 11 is also a fairly decent deal. The Legacy Collections are $7.99 a pop. Now, I think most people would say Legacy Collection 1 is better than Legacy Collection 2. I just wish Legacy Collection 1 had the Mega Man X1 remake that was released on PSP. Unfortunately, it's the OG Mega Man X1, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, a little bit of a bummer. X2, X3, X4, all very good games. I liked Legacy Collection 2 as well. I liked X5 for sure. X6, I know a lot of people thought kind of overstayed its welcome at that point. People despised X7, and X8 is fairly good as well. At $8 a pop, I think they're both worthwhile pickups, but if you just want to get one for now, Legacy Collection 1, check that out, and then you can make your way over to Legacy Collection 2 sometime down the line. Alright, next up, we got Gravity Rush 2, 50% off for $9.99. Man, this is a game that I'm gonna, like, recommend until, like, I'm blue in the face and I drop dead. Because Gravity Rush 2 is unfortunately a game that just did not see commercial success at the level you would have hoped for, and we're probably never gonna get a Gravity Rush 3. But this game is tremendous. Art style standpoint, main character is super likable, the characters in general, the story, the gameplay is so well done. And it's interesting because Gravity Rush 1 was released on the PlayStation Vita initially. It got a remastered release, but you know, it made use of some of the Vita's features, but they make a really smooth transition to the standard PlayStation controls. And give Gravity Rush a look. I think it's a game a lot of you guys are gonna enjoy, even if you're not super into it based on looking at the game. Just give it a shot. I think a lot of people, if you just start playing it, you'll get really into it. So $9.99 I think is pretty good. And Gravity Rush 2's got quite a bit of content as well, which honestly was a bit of a surprise to me. But $10 for it I think is fairly solid. Lastly, I do want to give a shout to Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. Remastered, that is 65% off for $6.99. Obviously, I rave about Valkyria Chronicles all the time. A lot of the times I recommend you guys to get Valkyria Chronicles 4. Valkyria Chronicles 1 came out back in 2008, another game that didn't have widespread commercial success, however, got a remastered release on PC that did really well, ultimately got a release on PlayStation 4, and then, hey, we're up to Valkyria Chronicles 4 now. But VC1 is a great game. It still holds up so well because it employed this watercolor art style that has just aged tremendously. Narrative is incredibly strong. It's a game that I would say that a lot of people that aren't into Japanese RPGs can get into as well. It's an emotional war story at the end of the day with a lot of content and an interesting way to display that story as well with the use of a storybook that you go through. It's not like you have this giant overworld that you're exploring or anything like that, but I think it's fairly good. Quite lengthy as well here. So $7 for it I think is a damn good pickup. Definitely go check that out, even if you're not the biggest JRPG fan in the world. And that is going to do it for me again. A lot of you guys asked me to continue mentioning the PlayStation Plus extra titles, which I'm going to continue doing, since at the end of the day, you guys are probably right. If you're watching these videos, you probably are just looking to buy games anyway and own them and keep them in your library. So we'll make sure to do that in the future. If you are an extra subscriber, we'll cover the extra refreshes every month, and I'll give you guys my takes on that as well. But that's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.